Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing good today. Welcome to the Lunchtime Devo with Bo O. And it's December 5th, 2022. And it is quite a weird, rainy couple days here in the desert. For those that love the rain, this is a kind of perfect rain storm. I must say, it's like a California rainstorm where it's not really that cold at all. I wish it was kind of cold. That way, maybe up in the mountains, we get some snow and I could go skiing. But it's too warm. It's actually a warm, pretty nice day today. Not cold at all, and but very, very cloudy and rainy and wet and all that. So definitely a Washington-like day here in the desert last couple days. But so welcome. Thanks for joining in on the morning Devo and lunchtime. It's not morning, so it's the lunchtime Devo. Casey says that she had heavenly hunk, a chocolate square, and cottage cheese. Ooh, nice. She said she's a grazer when she eats, but that sounds pretty cool. Nothing like a little chocolate square of anything, right? Chocolate, super good. But yeah, I'll eat a little later on, usually maybe a protein shake. If you ever want to make me a meal, it's pretty easy. You just got to get me some amino acids, and then that's it, and I'm good to go. A little pill, that's all. Isn't that funny? It's amazing, huh? How our eating habits change as things move on in life. So we are in the second part of chapter 6 of 2 Samuel, the life of David, and he is now king of Israel, and he finally brings the Ark of the Covenant. Remember this thing, the Ark of the Covenant? Where has this thing been? Well, it's been stashed in different areas, right, in Israel. You don't really hear much about the Ark, the tent of meeting, this tabernacle, kind of how people are worshiping the Lord. It's really been kind of missed in 1st and 2nd Samuel. Everything has really been revolving around the people's desire to be like the rest of the world. So as Israel wants to have a king, the whole narrative focuses in on them finally getting a king, and that king really messing things up. And then another king is raised up by God this time, named David. And in a sense, the inner squabbles between these two. The one of the spiritual life of David and the fleshly life, the arm of the flesh, the desires and efforts of human beings seen in the life of Saul. And you see these contrasts, right, going on. The life of someone who's, wanting to please God. Not that he does it great, because he doesn't. But, that desired life of pleasing God, and one desiring to please self and exalt self. And that's what you see between Saul and David. And now we get to David taking the ark to Jerusalem. David conquering those people that were in Jerusalem, enemies that were in Jerusalem. I mean, hey, you know Jerusalem. You see it on the news. You hear about Jerusalem all the time, right? Well, it's quite a very popular place in the Bible as well. All the way back in Genesis, we saw it. We see it again here. Place Zion, right? This holy Mount Zion, this mountain of God, this Jerusalem set on a hill, this place of shining, this place of glory. And David wants to make it his place of residence, his capital, if you will. But as the ark of the Lord entered the city, this is in verse 16, it says, Michal, the daughter of Saul, looked down from her window, and when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she was filled with contempt for him. It seems like you just can't please everybody all the time. David just doing what he's doing under the Lord, bringing the tabernacle or the Ark of the Covenant, to Jerusalem. wanting to worship the Lord, dancing, having a blast, sacrificing these bowls every, 6 steps, right? And just really radical chapter on David worshiping God. And then one of his wives, right? The daughter of Saul, really David's first wife, is all bent. Now there's a backstory with this woman for sure. So don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go into the whole backstory, but she might have a right to be a little bent at David, but notice what she does, right? She has contempt for him. As what is he doing? Leaping and dancing before the Lord. So sometimes people will, I guess, be bummed that, you're doing what you're doing unto the Lord. And no matter, how happy you are or how joyful you are, they're just still going to be upset and pretty upset about you. Maybe because of your past, maybe things you've done in the past. And maybe they don't want to see you filled with joy. Maybe they want to see you suffer. Maybe they want to see you, in a sense, maybe they're bitter at you and they kind of want you to, they want some revenge on you. Whatever the case is, right? They're just, super tweaked. And they're just not happy with your happiness. Am I that way? Am I like this girl, Michal? Am I like that, where goodness that happens to people, their joy in God, is something where I find like I'm jealous about, where I kind of go, man, I wish I had that. And you kind of have a contempt for them. It's something I gotta look at and I gotta think through. They brought the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the special tent David had prepared for it. And David sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. When he had finished his sacrifices, David blessed the people in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies. Then they gave to every Israelite man and woman in the crowd a loaf of bread, a cake of dates, and a cake of raisins, and then all the people returned to their homes. They all had a little bit of a pastry meal, as they worshiped the Lord. You always get this in the Bible, right? This idea of when we're around the things of God, there is in a sense, a fellowship, a place where we eat together and fellowship, and not just for fellowship's sake, but it's around the things of God, right? Grateful for the things of God, thankful for the life that God's given us, or, discussing our lives with God, how God is changing our lives or changing the way we're thinking about things. But all this is taking place, and it says when David returned to his home to bless his own family, Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet him. She said in disgust, "Ooh, how distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls like any vulgar person might do." Interesting, right? She saw David leaping and dancing. Obviously, he wasn't in his greatest attire, maybe. Maybe he was dressed down. Because notice what she says. She's disgusted. She says, hey, you're a king of Israel? She says, look how you look today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls. Not showing, you weren't really showing yourself pure at all, David. You had you weren't covered enough. You weren't this enough. You didn't dress right. You didn't look appropriate. Those girls were looking at you. Maybe they were lusting after you, right? You were like a vulgar person. You dressed like a vulgar person. Has anybody ever said this in church? Has anybody ever looked at someone at church and went, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're dressing like that. You've come to worship the Lord, and look at you. man, you look like a girl down the road, like sitting on Hollywood and Vine. What's up with that? Oh, man. How many people in church history sound just like this girl McCall, who's putting King David down because he's having a blast dancing and being joyful and, maybe a little flamboyant, man, maybe a little energetic, around the things of God. He's so stoked. But to McCall, whose heart and mind were so bitter, she couldn't see anything good in what David did. All she saw is what? Vulgarity. So maybe when I see something as vulgar, maybe I gotta first check my heart and see if I'm bitter or envious or resentful or angry or jealous, and then make the judgment. Because maybe, just maybe, that person who I'm criticizing is just wanting to worship the Lord. And they're just happy to do so. And maybe the problem is not them, but maybe the problem is me. Yeah. So maybe me, as the pastor, as a leader, maybe I need to look at my own heart before I look at someone who comes into the church and judges them. Maybe they're just coming to worship the Lord. And whatever they're wearing is whatever they're wearing. Or whatever they're not wearing is whatever they're not wearing. I don't know everybody. I don't know why they're wearing what they're wearing. And they don't know why I'm wearing what I'm wearing. I don't know. And thing is, what we've learned about the narrative of King David is that humans tend to judge on the outward, but God judges the heart. Man, so true. In the church especially, we need to be very, very wise with our judgments. Be very careful. David reported to Michal, I was dancing before the Lord, who chose me above your father and all his family. He appointed me as the leader of Israel, the people of the Lord. So I celebrate before the Lord. Yes, I am willing even to look more foolish than this, even to be humiliated in my own eyes. Hey, I'm willing to be even more humiliated than this. Meaning, I'm willing to, you know what? You think I looked lame? I'm willing to be lame for God, right? I'm willing to be humiliated in my own eyes, low in my own eyes. You want me to look dignified? Maybe I need to look low. Maybe I look smart. Maybe I need to look not so smart. Right? Maybe you think I'm distinguished. Maybe I need to look not so distinguished. Maybe God's the one that needs to be exalted here and not me. Wow, what a thought. Right? Maybe people don't need to walk away from me speaking and going, wow, that was a very distinguished scholarly guy, instead of just going, hey, that dude loves Jesus. Doesn't that sound like the New Testament? They saw that Peter, James, and John, or was it Peter and John, that they were people that were with Jesus. They knew that they weren't, the greatest scholars of all. They weren't those that went through all the university, but they were just lovers of God. Very cool, right? Yeah. Am I more about what I look like, or am I more about the business of willing to be, in a sense, a fool for Christ? People might think I'm foolish. People might think I don't look the part or don't act the part or whatever. But it's okay. It's okay not to fit in, not to look the part, not to, be with everybody else. Just with God. And David loved that. But those servant girls you mentioned will indeed think I am distinguished. So Michal, the daughter of Saul, remained childless throughout her entire life. I don't think David hung out with her too much after this. That's what it sounds like. There's a lot of cool lessons in this, right? How we judge other people, how we look to people within the body of Christ. Where our focus is, when we see someone who speaks well, in Christ, are we raising them too high? Or do we see them just like you and like me? Because let me tell you, everybody, doesn't matter who they are in the church, they all come in the same way, on their knees. Every single one. No one does it. We all come in the same way on our knees before the Lord. That's right, bowing before Jesus. He is the exalted one. So, man, Tina says, got to change heart before the shirt. Oh, man, so true. So, hey, do you have that kind of joy like David, where you just want to dance around and you just want to shout for joy, and you don't care what people think of you, in the sense of, you're not distracting people. I mean, you're not trying to be annoying, that kind of thing. But, you live your life in a way that really, it's you and the Lord. You're really focused on the Lord. And that's what David was. He was a guy who was just focused on God. I mean, the Ark of the Covenant is going to Jerusalem. Jerusalem's finally been taken over, it's now in Israel's hands. Finally, 400 or so years after they went into the promised land. I mean, gosh, it's been a long time. And King David's super stoked. So, pretty cool. I hope there's things you can be stoked about God today. And, think about it. Think about his grace. Think about his mercy. Think about his goodness. Think about, man, how the evidence of Jesus coming to earth, man, the birth of Christ, the life of Christ, the death of Christ, the resurrection of Christ. These things you could study and know for sure that took place, and be confident in your life that there is a God who made himself known and, loves you tremendously. So a lot to be thankful for sure. Fun to be in the lunchtime Devo. Eat some food. Enjoy the lunchtime. Maybe in a little bit I'll grab something, right? But enjoy the day, okay? You guys take care. And Casey says, this time went by too quickly. Yeah, it wasn't the longest Devo because we just had the second part. But you know what? There's always some more coming up, Lord willing. So you guys have a great one, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.